Okay, this video is to help you transfer the information from your Goal 1 encuestas to the Goal 1 Excel spreadsheet to the BRF. So this is some real data from a volunteer that did a project, typical Goal 1 project with 28 families and 30 children under 3. The project had house visits, worked with some promoters, it had some educational sessions, of which the topics are listed here. Latrines and cook stoves weren't built because other people had access to better things, and children received anemia and parasite testing and some incentives in the form of canastas for their participation. So this is basically what I'm going to copy into the activity description later. Also got here the baseline evaluation for Roberto and Leticia, one of the children and their mom, which we'll be looking at in a second. So, and here we have the Goal 1 spreadsheet. So I've already got like their basic information, names and birth dates and so forth, filled in here. And we're going to go through and fill in the rest of this really fast. So this is evaluación número 1, and it was done on March 27th, 2014. So in here, we need to put it in the American format, so 3/27/2014. Then we can tab over to if they could read credit or not. So in the first evaluation, no, they could not. So that's a 0. Then the peso, entalla, and desarrollo were all done on March 11th. So 3/11/2014. The peso at that time was 8 kilos, and it was normal. So we're going to put 8 here and a 2 for normal. The tie was taken the same day, so copy that. And it was 70 centimeters, and it was normal. 70 and normal. The desarrollo was done on the same day. It was normal, and then she could do the first 2 things of the others and not the third. So we've got normal. She could find the date for her Proxima Cred, find the vacunas, and could not find the consejos nutricionales. Looking at leche materna. So this is for children like 6 to 12 months if you worked with them before they were 6 months old. So this one wasn't filled out because, as you can see here, the category of the age of the child at the time of the first evaluation was already over 1. So this volunteer didn't work with that child when they were under 6 months old. We'll leave that one blank. Number of times they got leche materna in that day was 10. 10. So in the first meal of the day, the child had 1 food group, 8 cucharadas, and the consistency normal, which is 4, group code 4. So 1 group, 8 cucharadas, and consistency was 4. Groups 2, so that's the second meal of the day, was a fruit. The cucharadas are not listed here, so we'll have to leave it blank, and then the consistency was normal. If this was your encuesta, hopefully you would have filled that in, and if not, you could maybe look at your notes to see if you'd written anything about how much the mom had guessed or what kind of fruit it was to estimate how many spoonfuls that is. So 1 group, the number of cucharadas we don't have, and then the consistency was normal. The third food of the day, arroz con papas, are the same group, 8 cucharadas, and normal consistency. So 1 group, 8 cucharadas, normal consistency. The fourth meal of the day was milk, 1 glass. So we can estimate that's maybe also 8 or so cucharadas. You could measure it out with some water if you wanted to. I'm going to guess here that it's probably about 8. And the consistency was normal. The fifth one was sopa de fideos. That's 1 group, 8 cucharadas, and normal again. 1 and 8 and 4. Groups total is the number of groups of 8. So you've got the granos y raíces, otras frutas, and productos lácteos. So we got 3 groups throughout the day. The mortora is for the next question, and she was not able to demonstrate and did not practice any of the early stimulation questions. So we put 0s all the way across. Now we're looking at the cook stove. They cook with gas, we leave it blank. Go over to the knowledge about nutrition questions. So we've got what age did they start doing complementary feeding? Looks like 8 months. Should they stop giving breast milk? No, that's a 0. They should have breast milk 10 times a day, should eat 3 times, and get 6 cucharadas. So we'll do 10. What was it? Sorry. 3 and 6. And then they mentioned only 2 groups, so that's a no on this one. And the consistency they said was appropriate, was normal. They only said lavado de manos on the things that they should do while preparing food, and they should also mention that they need to wash their fruits and vegetables, like it says in the next question, and also might mention something about having a clean kitchen, having clean utensils, and that sort of thing. So that was a no. Normal and no. On this one, looking at the list, you've got 2 that they were able to do, 2 they did not, 1 they were able to, 1 they were not, and another one they were able to. So, and then these last 2, next line, and they didn't do suero casero, but they did take their child to the outpost. All right. With the latrina, the list goes across. So looking at this, we've got a 1, 0, 0, 3 1s, 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay. 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. All right, and that takes care of the first one. So looking at the last evaluation, which usually you'd obviously do this in 2 different times, but for the sake of demonstrating, do this one as well. This one was done on October 11th. So again, American format date 10/11/14. Looking at, could she read cred? Yes, she could this time. The date that everything was done was October 7th. 10/7/14. Child's weight was 9.4. And it was normal. The TIA was 73.8 and normal. So this is normal. 73.8 and normal. This was done on that same day. Also done on the same day. Oops. The desarrollo was also normal. So another one there. Okay, she could find all the other things we asked for. So 1, 1, 1. Again, we didn't ask about leche materna or lactancia materna exclusiva, but we did ask how many times the child had breast milk. So 4. We skipped this one and 4. Okay, first meal of the day had 2 groups, 8 cucharadas and normal consistency. So 2 and 8 and 4. The second meal was not filled in. The third meal is 2 groups, 8 cucharadas and normal. 2 groups, 8 cucharadas and normal. And then, again, this one doesn't say how many cucharadas, but a mandarina we can assume is maybe like 6 or so, if it's a good sized mandarina. So it's 1 group, about 6 cucharadas and normal consistency. And then the last meal of the day had 3 groups. We don't, again, know how many cucharadas, but it was normal consistency. So there we go. We don't know this one, so I'll have to leave it blank. It's normal consistency. Then counting up the number of groups in total that day, we had 1 with huevos because they're a different group, number 5. And then we had grains and raíces, legumbres, and a fruit, and a vitamin A vegetable. So you've got huevos is 1, granaches is 2, menestras 3, other fruits 4, and vitamin A fruits 5. Or fruits and vegetables, rather. So 5 groups that day. All right. With the early STEM questions, they were able to demonstrate everything, but could only said they practiced the first 2. So 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1, 1, 0, 0. Oops. With the cocina, they're still cooking with gas, so we'll skip that. You could add another column after this if you wanted to keep track of who's cooking with something that's healthier than an open fire inside the house. But we'll not do that right now. So now correctly answered that 6 months, you should start complementary feeding. Correctly, a no here, so 6 and 0. And has breast milk 4 times a day, eats 5 times a day with 8 kucharas, so 4, 5, and 8. 8. The next ones mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4 food groups, so that one's fine. Gets a 1. The consistency of the food is normal, so that's going to be 4. And they've mentioned this time washing hands, washing fruits and vegetables, and having clean things in the kitchen. So that one's fine as well. Normal consistency, good answer. They're able to answer everything except the second one about washing fruits. And then for the suero and taking the child to the center, they also did both of those. For the latrine, whoops. They answered 2 correctly, then 1 incorrectly, then 3, 4, 5 correctly, 1 incorrectly, and 1 correctly. So 2, 1, 5, 1, 2, 1. 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. Yeah, okay. So now I've got all of our data ready to go. And you'll notice that all the little colored boxes at the bottom have filled in with the correct numbers. So if you remember from one of the emails we sent out, we now don't want you to report these numbers until you've completed your entire project. So you'll never actually report the numbers in your VRF that are in these blue boxes on evaluation 1. And just to note one major difference, these indicators about peso and talla in the first evaluation are counting up how many kids were normal at the start. So you'll notice that they've gone down considerably in the next spreadsheet in evaluation 3. They had 7 and 8 with normal peso and talla, but that was how many had recuperated from not having normal peso.